Welcome back, Dealmaker. It's good to see that you advanced past the early stages of training and are still breathing. That alone puts you above the curve. By now you've learned to make a deal, to drive a getaway car, and to fire an assortment of company-approved firearms without putting a hole in your foot. These are useful skills, but they all share one fatal flaw. They all put you in direct harm's way. Today's module takes a different angle. We'll be focusing on an aspect of the job that doesn't rely on trading bullets or getting behind a driver's seat. One that's often more overlooked, even more than the average driver, because it doesn't feel as glamorous as a gunfight or as thrilling as a car chase. That aspect is negotiation and stealth, the ability to defuse a conflict before it starts, or to move through San Rosa without anyone ever realizing you were there. This module is covered under Section 6A of your Employee Skills Book. This section will be assessed at the end of your next work week, so please, study up. Now, let's continue. Sometimes talking down your opponent is more profitable than shooting them. Other times, not being seen at all is the best negotiation strategy you'll ever make. Of course, both strategies reduce losses, they're lower risk, and most importantly, keep company insurance claims to an absolute minimum. These are the tools of the smaller firms, the underfunded teams, or the cautious opportunists, but in the right hands, they can turn the tide of a deal just as effectively as the firepower. Today we'll be covering two sides of this coin. Together they form what Ultracorp politely refers to as conflict minimization strategies. Before we explore further, today's module was filmed and edited in-house at Four Corner Records. Now that has been sorted, let's dive in a little deeper, shall we? Not every member of a deal-making team will cooperate with an established plan. Some will always thirst for bloodshed, convinced that violence is the quickest path to profit. While occasionally effective in the short term, this approach severs ties with other companies and makes sure future negotiations become unnecessarily difficult. Rogue behavior can stem from several causes: inattention during planning, deliberate disregard for company protocol, or simple egocentrism, where one individual decides their impulses outweigh the team's objectives and puts everybody else at risk. In my years observing this industry, I have seen many methods for containing these outbursts. Some succeed, while others escalate the problem further. What matters is recognizing that unchecked violence rarely maximizes profit in the long run. A betrayed rival would prefer not to sign another contract with you tomorrow. For the sake of this program, we'll first look at these under the context of an employee shooting when that is not the established plan. The first step begins with condoning the action, and not feeding into the behavior. Sure, the surprise can work to your advantage to easily clear the problem with violence, but this feeds into the wrong mentality. A dealmaker shouldn't always resort to violence first. We're businessmen, not contracted killers. Now this is where the strategy can differ, but one thing remains the same: tone of voice is crucial, as all good de-escalation stems from manipulation. Remain clear, friendly, and apologetic, or even surprised at the action. This first strategy is known as the pawn sacrifice, but it's more accurate to call it throwing an employee under the bus. Sometimes apologies won't mend broken limbs, and in order to mend trust, the other team may feel the urge to pay you back in lead. This is where offering a sacrifice, typically the person who shot first, can help. If they're satisfied with the offering, you can continue as normal. But if a pawn sacrifice feels a little too cutthroat, or likely to breed resentment within your own team, you can pivot to what is called the over-apology, which is seen as the stark opposite to the pawn sacrifice. This is where you beg and apologize to the afflicted company and offer reparations. This most commonly being a guaranteed deal the next day, extra money if the team had been allocated some, or even a guaranteed seltzer tomorrow to make up for the losses. If you cannot repay a debt with blood, money is your second best bet. The third strategy is simply combining both prior strategies for maximum efficiency. Going all in on both blood and money is a good way to correct the situation. At this point, of course, diplomacy might already be off the table. Sometimes, literally, if someone has flipped one over for cover. To follow up on this, we're now going to look at de-escalation tactics between two teams set up to fight one another by a third party. The strategies remain roughly the same, but with a slight smell of tension in the air. It is a considerably hotter button compared to the simple misunderstandings. You have limited time in a situation like this, as most likely one company has entered fight or flight the second they realize they've been set up. Step 1 changes slightly. Try to convince other people to put their weapons down and to work on a solution. If one team's objective is to sell a project and another team must get the project through any means, a reasonable plea would be consider teaming together to take out the money-holding team. However, this might not succeed. Team dynamics, grudges, or even past events may complicate things. But if it does, you both get what you need by redirecting the target onto the instigators. Now let's quickly go over what we've learned so far. Step 1. Use your words. Condemn the action or talk down the shooting. Step 2. Offer alternatives or reparations. Step 3. Forge a workable plan with your rivals. Step 4. Deliver on your promise, or collaborate to make it right. And Step 5. Profit. And if any of these fail, you're moving forward on a coroner's report. But let's focus on a more in-depth strategy that requires not making a single sound, getting in and getting out unseen. Stealth isn't a tactic seen very often in the loud streets of San Rosa. Most prefer to take a more simple approach, hold the line and shoot anyone on sight, or to speak your way out of any conflict situation. But there's an intense feeling of adrenaline accompanying a stealth strategy, and most of these are completely situational and mostly reserved for Fridays. As with shortcuts in San Rosa, familiarity with your surroundings is half the battle. A good stealth strategy considers the dead drops layout, nearby escape routes, and, if fortune smiles, an abandoned company vehicle at a team nearby. For this section, we'll go through some of my personal favorite stealth strategies and break them down one by one. Starting off with a very interesting area, the San Rosa Art Gallery. For the gallery, you take the fire escape, grab the project, and jump from the 3rd floor heading towards the scrap heap next to Big Mo's. Then simply run through that area and lay low by the pool, or through the tunnel until the coast is clear. The Grand Chumash Mall. The Grand Chumash Mall follows a similar pattern, but the issue comes with openly breaking a window on the 2nd floor and climbing the outside roof, carefully navigating the ledge until you reach the poolside. On the other side of the map, there's Triton Tower. The front entrance of Triton Tower acts like a funnel. Backtracking would mean that you get shot, so you can climb out of the back by jumping down onto the road by hopping onto one of the side buildings. Employees can either choose to hide out inside of the construction site or risk being seen making their way to the Augustine building. Moving south, the Dockside Cranes is less of an on-foot strategy and more of a vehicle-based one. You can grab the project inside of a car and take the Rise and Shine shortcut we covered in the last episode. But in the event that you're on foot, the best bet would be to climb the cranes or make a mad dash out of the back. Aloha Burger. Although located next to 2 previous locations, the strategy for Aloha's stealth strategy changes, focusing on camping out in the Cadino or making a risky trek over the bridge towards the Augustine. The Dealership. The dealership seems to be the easiest on paper. Grab the project, take a display car, and get out of there. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The dealership method requires leaving your team as sacrifices to buy you more time, because the second exit is in clear view, and without distraction you'd be seen and stopped permanently. Grab the project while the fight is still happening, slide out to the back door, and either make haste towards SA storage, or let the heat die down by climbing the water treatment silos and jumping onto the roof. The hard part here is staying alive, hoping that Yorimoto or Halfwell isn't in operation to steal their car by weaving in and out of buildings. It's a bit of a dangerous journey, and there's a lot of roads nearby, so keep quiet and make sure you aren't seen or heard. There are many variations of strategies you can use, but these are the ones to get you thinking critically about strategy plans in general. Now let's move on to some quick tips about stealth and de-escalation before we wrap up. 1. De-escalation works better early in the week, and as the week progresses, profit motives harden tempers, and by Thursday and Friday, that goes out of the window. There is no arguing with terrorists, as one would say. 2. A failed de-escalation can haunt future encounters. This means that whatever strategy you choose to de-escalate a situation must be chosen with extreme prejudice. One wrong move, and they won't be likely to trust you anymore. 3. All good de-escalation boils down to manipulation. Sound honest, stay friendly, and apologize convincingly, and shut up any risks to this plan. 4. Some San Rosa locations aren't suited for stealth. Staging is a prime example. Adapt plans, distractions, foot routes, or get a skilled getaway driver. 5. In stealth, common sense applies. Don't shoot, don't speak, and stay off the radar, and always remain flexible. And 6. If you must abandon a stealth plan, do so from a position of advantage. High ground beats a hail of bullets. Making yourself harder to get is preferably where you'd want to be. Dealmaker, you've now seen that the quietest moves can bring the loudest payoffs. In Santa Rosa, the fastest talker isn't always the smartest earner. Stealth, patience, and a word spoken at the right time can earn you more respect than 100 stray bullets ever could. Ultracorp reminds you that in a world full of noise, the smooth operator is the one that sets the rhythm. Move with purpose, speak with intent, and let the competition wonder how you stay 2 steps ahead. Next time we'll be tackling a more light-hearted aspect of the job, having fun while being on the job and getting to know Santa Rosa's little getaways and memorials. Ultracorp believes that dealmakers who make fond memories perform better on quarterly reports than those who stay rigid and boring. I would once again like to thank you for your time, and until next time, keep your pockets heavy, your profile low, and your exits planned. The streets of Santa Rosa are listening. Goodbye for now, dealmakers. Bye-bye.